Let's just jump right into it. Today's title is Mass Shootings in Black and White. Here on the screen right now, I have Angela Stanton King, and she's going to ask a very good question.
Okay, I have a question. I don't want to come off the wrong way when I ask this question, but I really want to know because, um, on social media, we hear a lot of times, how they talk about, the black community and, fatherless homes and black people killing each other, the crime rate, black people being, savages. And, we've heard it all, but we don't hear enough conversations about why these white men, right, keep mass killing children while they are in school. I want to talk about that, right? Yes, there have been some shootings on some school grounds by some black people, but I have yet to see a black person go inside of a school and open up fire on a bunch of children. Is this something that is psychological? Is it genetics? Is it something? Can we talk about this, please?
Okay, and she asked a good question, although I do question the intent of uh, why she asked. But so this is all in light of this recent mass shooting at this Catholic church with this guy named Robin Westman. Robin Westman. And so he opened fire at a Catholic church. I'm assuming I think it's called the Annunciation Catholic Church. Now, I responded on her page and I basically said that ideologically, mass shooters are left leaning. They are extreme leftists. They are, you can call them communists, Marxists, socialists, all of the ist you want to call them. But for the most part, mass shooters are liberal, because to want to harm innocent people to get your point across is a liberal ideology. It's just how they operate, how they think. And so ideologically, these people that happen to be white men, they ideologically are on the side of the majority of black people. That means that these shooters more than likely would identify with candidates that black people would vote for. Um, Now, I believe that black people commit crime more culturally. Uh, the violence in the black community is a cultural phenomenon because of the devaluing of black life in the black community via the culture. Um, I don't think that black people, for the most part, look at each other as human beings or more or less like a commodity. They view themselves in the lens of how they are viewed by what you would call, like, let's say, corporate America or the media or the communists, the globalists. Like, black people are seen as mostly like mascots, and they're seen as pawns in this big global game to usher in what I call the Antichrist and the one world government. But black people commit crimes against each other mostly. Black people pretty much don't venture outside of their bubble. Black people pretty much have all of their anger and resentment towards white people, but it's taken out on other black people because black people aren't very courageous culturally. We know that white people culturally will climb mountains, go on safaris, skydive, whitewater rafting. White people are very adventurous culturally. So that cultural adventurism, if we call it, spills over into these ideological views, in my opinion. So these white people, their culture is a reflection in their extreme views. And so, for example, this guy, um, Westman, Robin Westman, if we go to his pictures, see right here, he's probably LGBTQ, identifies as he, them, she, they, it. trans, whatever. But you notice on here, he has on this gun, part of his gun, he has kill Donald Trump. Then on this clip, this magazine, he has sponsored by BlackRock, killer sadist. Then on this holster, he has 6 million wasn't enough. And then on this shotgun, he has Israel must fall like a phoenix, we rise from the ashes. So you see that if this person was really anti-Semitic, he would have attacked a synagogue or something. So we know this is propaganda. We know that if he was truly anti-Semitic, he would have went to a Jewish neighborhood and attacked Jewish people. Like, he wouldn't have gone to Catholics who are seen as being anti-Semitic in some of their rhetoric. And so we see that this is confusion. And the Bible says that the Bible says that God is not the author of confusion, but the devil is. And so when you see things like this and it doesn't make sense, it's because it's the devil at play. This is a psyop. This is something that is just propaganda. You have a person that is anti-Semitic and he's anti-Trump. But keep in mind that Trump is seen as pro-Israel. So he's anti-Semitic, he's anti-Trump, but he goes to a Catholic church to kill innocent Catholic children and people. But the Catholics are supposed to be anti-Semitic. You see how that doesn't make any sense? And he could have easily gone to a Jewish synagogue or neighborhood to do it. But again, these are extreme ideological views. And so the intent behind these psyops, I call them, are to take away the guns. All of these things are done to get rid of the guns. The goal behind these mass shootings are to put pressure on lawmakers and to put pressure on the public to keep the quote unquote kids safe. And so easy way to do that is to get rid of the guns, because you can't get rid of the maniacs, because, you know, these people love the criminals. They love the mentally ill. So that's their base. They can't get rid of their base. So the next best thing is to get rid of the weapons. And so the goal is to actually get rid of the guns. Now, they've made you believe that the number one weapon of choice for these mass shootings are AR-15s, or what they like to call assault rifles. But let's look into that, though. If we go to some stats, we have what weapons are used to commit murder in the United States. 10,000 firearm murders occur annually in the United States. Most of those occur black on black. So I want you to think about this as I'm talking. 2.5% occur using any type of rifle. AR-15s are only one type of rifle. That's 2.5%. 2% occur with shotguns. 62% occur with handguns. Approximately 300 to 400% more murders are committed with knives than AR-15s annually. So there are more murders committed with knives and handguns than there are rifles. And then there's also other, which is 3,281. So we see this breakdown on the screen. I'll make it larger for you. But this breakdown on the screen shows you that the least likely weapon used to commit murder in the U.S. is a rifle. Now, of course, this is not mass shootings, but I'm just letting you know that most murders committed are not committed with a rifle. But that seems to be the targeted weapon of choice. A mass shooting is defined generally as the generally accepted definition of a mass shooting is 4 or more people fatally injured, excluding the shooter, indiscriminately in a public place. Now, they use this language on purpose because Black people commit the most homicides with guns. So they have to say that when we're talking about mass shooting, we have to exclude the majority of mass shooters, which are Black people. So we have to change the language. We have to use the word indiscriminately. Now, I would argue that Black people are known for firing into crowds of people to hit one person or two people. I've seen this often growing up in my childhood, my life. I've seen it. So Black people shoot indiscriminately to get a target. But they're trying to separate the majority of gun violence that's committed by Black people from who they want to target, which is white, conservative Christian men who believe in the Second Amendment. Again, weapons in mass shootings. Although this is commonly reported that assault rifles are used most commonly in mass shootings, that is factually incorrect. 46% of mass shootings were committed with the handgun, 20% with a semi-automatic rifle, such as an AR-15, 13% with a non-semi-automatic rifle, and 11% with a shotgun. So the majority of mass shootings are committed with weapons that aren't semi-automatic rifles, but the target weapon of choice is the semi-automatic rifle. And again, the goal of all of this is to get rid of the guns. That is the goal. It's hard pushing a global agenda if the citizens are armed. It's hard taking over a country if the citizens still have weapons. So we have a lot of things at play here, but obviously this is a psyop because, you know, we see that the shooter was anti-Semitic and anti-Trump, but the shooter attacked Catholics. This doesn't make any sense. So if it doesn't make any sense, we know that the devil is at work. Let's listen to the governor of, I think this is the governor of Minnesota.
They should be playing on the playground.
I'm sorry, the mayor of Minnesota. I'm sorry. Not Minnesota. The mayor of Minneapolis. I'm sorry. The mayor of Minneapolis. I'm sorry.
And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance.
Yeah, this guy right here, Mayor Jacob Frey, I don't trust him. I don't think he's very genuine. I think he is just a communist, liberal. Here he is right here at George Floyd's funeral, kneeling down and crying for George Floyd. Just a literal, he's a scumbag. And he's just full of propaganda as well. His goal is to get rid of the guns too. So he's just another communist shield, not to be trusted. I just want you to hear his language. Don't talk about the prayers. The children were praying. You know, this is a serious problem. We got to do something about the guns. Now, he can't do something about people that's committing the crimes because that would be attacking his base. You know, Black people, you can say mentally ill, you can say criminals. Those are the people that he loves. So he can't attack them. So he has to attack who? He has to attack the guns, and the guns are linked to Christian, white, conservative men. So to answer Angela Stanton King's question.
Okay, I have a question.
So to answer her question, I would say simply, Angela, that these events are done to target gun owners. Again, they want America to be communist. They want the world to be globalist. They don't want people to have things like the freedom of speech or the right to bear arms. They don't want, you know, or the freedom to assemble for religious. They don't want this kind of stuff, not for believers. They don't. So the purpose of all of this is to get rid of the guns. Angela, you may want to ask yourself a question. With all of this gun violence, why are they using the data from Black people committing mass shootings, but they're not letting you know that it's Black people doing it too? Actually, more. They take the numbers from all of the gun violence and they stick it on white men that commit mass shootings. They don't tell the world that we're getting this data from, most of it's from Black men killing other Black men. We're just compiling this data and saying, okay, this is a problem in America, and white men are the problem, particularly white conservative Christian men, when in fact the ones committing these mass shootings are actually liberal white men who may identify as trans, extremely left, socialist, communist, Marxist, whatever. So I think that is a question that we should also ask: is why is the media not giving us an honest take on what's actually taking place? And last but not least, there have been 13 mass school shootings in the past 56 years. Now, we know that Black people lead the nation in homicide. So it's funny how Democrats talk about gun violence, but they never talk about the people committing the most gun violence. Why? Because that's their base. They can't talk about Black people and gun violence because then they feel like Black folks wouldn't vote for them because they'd be holding them accountable. But there have been 13 mass school shootings in the last 56 years. According to criminologists for Scientific American, there have been 13 mass school shootings in the US since 1966, when they began tracking this data. These crimes claimed the lives of 146 people in total. In recent years, special interest groups have attempted to overstate the frequency of these events by altering the definition of mass shooting to include any injury, including hearing loss involving firearms. Yes, one shooting is absolutely too many. So again, what they do is they change the language. And so you see they'll add something like hearing loss as an injury in a mass shooting to make it a mass shooting. So imagine somebody shooting somewhere and 4 people losing their hearing qualifies that as a mass shooting. But again, the majority of homicides committed in America are committed by Black men. And Black men do shoot indiscriminately into crowds. Often they shoot in areas that are heavily populated. So Black people commit mass shootings and mass murders more frequently than white people do. It's just a fact. And there have been more Black homicides. There have been 146 total homicides and school shootings since 1946. There have been, I would venture to say, probably hundreds of thousands of murders in the Black community since 1966 involving shootings. So I think that when we're looking over these subjects, we have to be very honest. And we have to see that there is an agenda at play, and the agenda is to take away the right to bear arms because they want to just leave the people, not just of America, but of the world without any rights. So they can usher in this global agenda, i.e. the anti-Christ.